Luka's Kids, it's Luka's Kids, it's Luka's Kids, it's Luka's Kids.
Well, hello, my fellow caramellers. Welcome to another episode of Luka's Kits. We're going to be taking a look at another JoHan kit. One of my favorites, as a matter of fact. And I have 4 of these. And I really love this kit. Built one years and years ago. It's a really, for the times, this kit was quite fascinating. And I always like these Torinos. And well, we're going to take a look at this. It's pretty technical, and it's fairly accurate for a car at the time that was racing in NASCAR. Mainly, it looks a lot like the Bud Moore car that ran, which was the first actual small block to run in NASCAR. Bud Moore was one of the first to, he saw the writing on the wall, and they were going to be downsizing the engines from all the big blocks, and so he started playing with the 351 Cleveland, and that's what ended up going into his car that Bobby Isaac drove, and then the last couple races at the end of the 72 season, Darrell Waltrip picked up on it, and then the following year, they had Buddy Baker come in with RC Cola, which that's all going to come into play in some things I'm going to show you. Anyways, let's take a look at this. This is one of my fresh ones, untouched. And what's very interesting about these, as everyone knew about JoHan back in the day, see I wrapped the glass up here. You never knew what you were going to get. You could buy 2 kits off the shelf at the same exact time. You could end up with whatever color. With this kit, lots of times they came in this kind of palish orange, or another one, this kind of interesting white, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a very bizarre white. If you could see, it's like a yellowish white. So both of these kits, I think this one also is pretty well unmessed with, but let's see which one looks better to look at. I guess it doesn't matter really. Let's just keep the white one up here. So we're going to go back to looking at the box art. Now what was funny is I bought all 4 of these kits when they were still on the shelves. I actually worked at a hobby shop back in 1989-90. And that's when I bought a couple of the kits actually. And the reason why I bought them is a buddy of mine told me, well, check this out, man. It has a completely separate frame. And what the options you could do with all kinds of modellabilities. There was no kits. It was very hard to find a kit that the frame was separate without the floorboard. Now it's pretty common, in the 90s, AMT, when they were owned by RC2, they really started developing some amazing kits that the frames were separate and all that. But back in, the olden days, like when this kit first came out was probably in the, early 70s, you didn't see that even up until like 1990. So I bought these, plus I wanted to build a couple of these Torinos, or I wanted this chassis because it is a very, very acceptable representation of a chassis from NASCAR back in the early 70s. Especially Bud Moore's car, because if you ever find pictures of Bud Moore's Torino from the 72, 73 seasons and beyond, you find, wow, it looks a lot like what's in this kit. So let's get back to looking, again, on the side here, same thing. And this kind of shows you the interior that you got. And these are very accurate illustrations of what's inside this kit. Definitely. And since it's already out, we'll look at the JoHan instructions, typical JoHan instructions. And there you see that separate frame and all the separate components to the chassis and suspension. And of course, this one comes with a big Boss 429 because that's what model companies did. And you can just see how simple, just three blocks for not a simple kit. This is, as everybody knows, normally when you get a JoHan kit, that chassis is just one flat piece with everything molded on. Not this one. This was a pretty advanced, complicated kit for them. And let's take this off. So let's just start looking at it. First of all, they did do a Torino, just like a snap kit or a promo style. and it looks like, you know, this is not NASCAR'd out. It's got all of the trimming and everything, and see Gran Torino right there, that a street car would have. So this is 100% street car body. So to make a NASCAR race car, there's some grinding and stuff, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit on one that I had been working on. You had to do a little bit of work, but what a fantastic body. Absolutely beautiful body. And if you ever, I happen to have here, let's see, I have a kit here that I did something with the body. This kit here, another one I have. But this one, I had bought up an old built-up before, you know, they got kind of put back out, those NPC NASCAR kits. I replaced the body in this one kit with a built-up I found. So we'll do a little comparison here from the NPC NASCAR that came out, and then it was reissued, which we never thought we'd ever see it again, but in the 2000s, Model King reissued it. I don't know where the heck they found the molds for, but here's the NASCAR version, already all kind of NASCAR'd out, blocked out door handle, no trim down here. And I happen to have a couple of the reissue kits, so I got a few of these Torinos now. So I almost, if I was to build it, I'd rather take the NPC, because it is, I believe they used the JoHan mold. They probably borrowed the JoHan mold or something, but these two bodies are so, let's get this out of the way. They are so just about exact, you know. NPC, of course, in the blue. I don't know what color this plastic was. It was probably white. And look at the cutout right there for the gas, and it had a molded in spoiler, the molded in back window supports or hold downs. The netting was molded on. It's all pretty much, you know, the exact same body. Very much, very, very close. So I snagged one of these years ago when I found a decent built-up to add to one of mine, which I have in that kit with this. I would strip this down, the paint, and I had gotten from Fred Cady years ago the RC car, the RC Cola version of the Budmore car that we talked about. This was from '73, and George Fulmer and Buddy Baker drove the cars. I have a magazine that has a great look of the chassis and everything of this car, and I was very surprised, and we'll get into it, how close it was to this JoHan kit. So this was a kit, and I got another one I'm going to show you in a little bit later in this video that has a set of decals, but we'll stick with this one. So there you are, beautiful body, beautiful Torino body. I actually have, why I did that with that one body is I have one of these Torino bodies set aside to do something a little different with, that I wanted to keep all the street trim on, but that's for another video. Now onto it. It looks like, you know, there's a little bit of discoloration. This was the thing that was kind of a bummer with this kit, is it came with the flat hood. This probably came out of a different version of this kit, because look at how different the yellow is. The plastic is a lot more yellow from this one, so this probably came from another kit, but it's the same. But they gave you a flat hood, and the cup car version, which you would find in the NPC NASCAR version, had a bubbled hood, which lo and behold, I happen to have the version that came out from Model King back in, like, I think 2005 or so. Does it even say 2007 that they brought this car back? It was the first time we saw the Torino since the in the early 90s when the JoHan version went away. But real quick, I wasn't expecting to go all over the place like this, so sorry, but this is neat, interesting history. There's a beautiful version. Like even this one, I probably will, I bought this to build into a Torino that I will probably use one of these JoHan's kits for the chassis, because it's a much more superior than this NPC chassis. But as you can see with this hood, heck, I'll take it out for you guys.
What?
No, 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 no. Okay, here's the hood. Set this aside. Boy, I got Torinos all over the place now. You can see how different the hood, this is correct for a proper NASCAR race car. Had that pop-up bubble hood, where this is just a flat hood. And curious, although I have to clean this up a bit. Give me a moment. Let's clean it up. Get that flash. Okay, it's not perfect, but still got to take a sanding stick to it. But look at how perfect that hood fits on there. That just goes to show you, I would not be surprised, because the companies did that back then. It's probably MPC borrowed the tooling for this from JoHan and made their MPC NASCAR. They probably retooled a few things, but look at how that hood fits on there. So there you go. That's that. Anyways, back to the JoHan one is what we want to concentrate on. Put down in the description below if you want me to do a full Lucas Kits on one of the MPC NASCAR versions of these. I wish I had original, just because I love that box art, and I like the Stay Power car, which we're going to get to that in a little bit. But I would have loved to have that kit. Maybe one day I'll find one, even just the box. I don't need another Torino. Let's get back to looking at this. Look here. So here we go with, there's so many parts in this kit. It is a very multi-part kit. But here you go. There's the separate frame. Oh, that was so cool. It's such a cool looking frame. A heck of a sink mark, but what do you do? That's just, yeah, you fill it in. That's just the monster. So this floor pan, look at that. Nice and smooth, which isn't 100% accurate, but it looks so dang good. And then we'll look at how, like a glove, watch this. This frame just fits right in there. And there's still flash and stuff on it. They're not, it's not cleaned up at all, and it fits right in there real nice. That's so cool. Tires, halves, plastic. They actually aren't really that bad when you put them together. Let's see if we can. A lot of people kind of just would blow them off. I have to take the right one off. This actually kind of did make a very nice treaded wide NASCAR blue streak oval with the proper gluing and sanding and getting it lined up right where it's not, because you've got to clock these or else they'll kind of be really weird, but you get them nice and straight and get it glued, and you actually have a very nice looking blue streak oval stock car tire with tread. It's pretty nice looking, actually. So those are not to be kind of blown off. And you have beautiful, you can see right there, the Holman and Moody wheels that were produced by Goodyear, invented by Holman and Moody. Moving along, we've got the high back racing seat. That thing's crazy looking. And there's the back to it. But here's a bunch of, JoHan's engines were always insane with the inside the cylinder heads, and you see the hemispherical head of the Ford Hemi. And what the heck? That's not correct. I don't know why that would be there. That's a overhead valve cam thing. Is that what they put in this? I don't know. We'll wait to see. We get to the valve covers. They were all over the place. This engine would go into multiple different kits that JoHan put out. Very nice fuel cell. Not a lot of detail, but it's nice and smooth. You got all your springs for your rear and your front. You got nice headers there, intake manifold. So you got all that stuff. Here we go with a lot of the suspension. Your rear trailing arms are kind of stock looking. You'd probably have to make those look a little more beefed up to be a NASCAR race car. But oddly enough, I don't know why, they put a Dana 60, it actually makes a nice Dana 60, and you find this rear end in like the Soxon Martin car and stuff like that. Very odd that they put a Dana 60 rear end in this. It should be a Ford 9-inch. But look at those steering knuckles. Looks like you could have posable steering. But the suspension, and that's typical Ford rear steer suspension right there that would have been found on that Torino. It's very accurate Torino suspension, and you have some of the bars for under the hood bars there. Not 100% accurate. You might have to find yourself a nice 9-inch to go in there. I don't think I would use that rear end. Boy, you could. Here we go with part of the chrome. I'm missing some of the... I'm not sure where the... I'll have to find for another kit. I don't have the bumpers and all that in this kit. So we'll find those. But you got your headlight blockouts, which truly isn't correct. NASCAR didn't allow you to block them out like that. But if you were to do like a USAC car, you could. And of course the front grille, your carburetor. I don't have the valve covers in this kit, so let me look in another kit, see if I can find. Here we go. There you go with your rear bumper. There's your taillight blockouts that fit from behind the bumper. Still no valve covers on this, but you can see totally stock grill, headlights, front bumper on this one. Let's look in another kit. And in one of the other kits I finally found, it did come with the, I could build it up with as a Boss, but not sure what the heck is going on, because you Ford guys, make sure I'm not going crazy here. That would not be the front of a Boss 429. Wouldn't that be the front of the Camry engine? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to think of my big block hemispherical head Ford engines, but that's what this came with. That's what we have. And moving right along, we've got our roll bar, roll cage, door bars. Everything's right there. All the bars for inside the passenger compartment. When they're put together, they fit up into the body pretty nice. Now, here's something crazy. I just found what looks kind of, I don't know, that doesn't even really look like a Ford center section that goes with that rear end, but you know, JoHan did silly stuff sometimes. Sometimes there was things they were really accurate with, and sometimes there was things that they were just whatever. They had tooled it up for different model kits. Here's your firewall, very smooth, which is cool and kind of, I don't know. There's your back. This goes right like somewhere like that, which is really cool. And you have your fuel filler kind of covered up because that goes into the fender where the fuel filler is. So, oddly enough, look at that. Stock, all the trim, but they did put a hole for your fuel filler on this kit. That's kind of funny. And here's your dashboard. Very simple NASCAR dashboard. That is pretty much it with this car. I'm going to clear this away. I'm going to show you another one of these kits that I have that I was kind of working on, which is kind of interesting. I just want to throw it in. Let me get that for you. You're watching the Luka C channel on YouTube. So here's the very first one that I ever got. Bought it for a specific reason. And look at this. This is what I paid for it. I worked at this place called Desert Hobbies. This was 1990. $5.75. Yes, that's right. So you got to remember back in the day, people go nuts about JoHan. There are JoHan lovers. I'm one of them. Love JoHan kits. I used to buy them like crazy back in those days, which were a lot of mine. You know, I built a lot of them, but I had all these kits that, you know, you didn't think they were ever going to be gone and rare or any, and nobody cared about them. Like, I remember these Torinos sat on the shelves forever when I was snagging them. And JoHans weren't popular in the 80s. So they were a lot cheaper, because I want to say retail for like a new AMT kit or a Revell kit was somewhere around the $10 range, probably $9 to $10. JoHans were always like $6, so I liked it because they were cheap. And to me, JoHans just had really cool cars, really cool bodies. Yeah, there was a lot of simplified stuff. There was a lot of flash. Oh, people hate the flash even back then. They hated not the flash, but flash. I probably put that sticker on there. There's a date. Let me see. It says November of '89 when we put this on the shelf, and I was working at Desert Hobbies at the time. That's hilarious. So I bought this kit because me being the Darrell Waltrip fan that I I was and am, still am, I wanted to build a representation of one of every car that he drove, representing a season. If he drove a couple different cars in a season, I would do those too. But I was trying to kind of do as much of a representation of every one of his cars when he got into Cup in 1972. And he drove his own car, a Mercury. And then I came to learn through Circle Track magazine, I found this really cool picture that Darrell Waltrip drove about 4 races at the end of the 72 season for Bud Moore, filling in for Bobby Isaac because he stepped out of the car. That's for another video if you ever want to learn that one. You probably could find a lot of stories about that. There's myths and stories and truths and half-truths about that. So Darrell got into the car. There's some really cool videos I recently saw that had a couple people that were involved with Bud Moore back then and this car when they talked about it, and they say something funny about the sponsor, and the sponsor was Stay Power. I just thought, look at this. I got this chassis already painted. I did this back in 89, late 89, early 90. Now, something for some of you to know is at the time, let's get this all out. We can take a look. This is turning into a Luka's Unbuilds, isn't it? What the heck? Ooh, oh, the whole thing's falling apart. Look at my roll cage fell apart, but I want to get this out. So here is my completely painted, prepped body. There were no decals at the time for Stay Power. I had to make those. I made those 15. That's why they're kind of rough, but I kind of made a stencil. I've got on white, clear decal film, and I painted the blue, and then I hand lettered the orange when I got the decal down. The Stay Power on a separate, probably white decal sheet I did, was I drew out all that, and I used rub-on letters, and I found perfect decals for the cross flags. And of course I took a circle stencil and just shot some orange, and I made my Stay Power. And this is where I kind of stopped on this. And, just even the Bud Moore engineering, I made that. It's all hand done with a pen, I think, on white decal film. I'm really proud of that. I can't strip that, because later on, Fred Cady, and there's also Slicks did later on too. Fred Cady finally came out with a decal sheet. I still want to do this car very much, but I'm probably going to start with a whole new body. I'm going to probably use what I got in here, but I want to build this car. And you see, how cool is it? They did add Darrell's name along with Bobby Isaac's name. And the RC car was the following year. They got the RC sponsorship when they got Buddy Baker and George Fulmer to drive the car. But this is just a great decal sheet. You just got to paint the car white and lay those decals down. So I'm glad I have those. I'd forgotten about if I had those or not. I'll probably use those with Fred Cady. Any of you who are not familiar with Fred Cady, this was before all the decal companies we had for doing race cars. Fred Cady was a guy in the 70s and the 80s. And he did a silk screening process that he had to do. If you're familiar with silk screening, sorry people, silk screening on t-shirts, every color has to be its own register. And he would just lay it out like this, and then you would have to lay it over, and you'd get a very good effect. Once you lay that orange over the 15, it really works out good. You got the orange for the center for the Stay Power, and you got your Stay Power. So it really doesn't look too bad. I will definitely use this to build this car. Keep these here. And you can see there's already painted the chassis, I'm being pretentious, and the look at that frame fit on there. Here's my hood on the flat hood, rub-on letters for the 351CI cubic inch. There's my Stay Power decal I made. Come on, guys, what do you guys think? Pretty cool. I really like this car. I think it's a really good looking car. I'm probably gonna have to put this. I'm gonna have to just do this for the shelves, just because, heck, man, that was a lot of work. I'm never gonna remove that. And there's a lot of pieces. I have a 351 Cleveland in there to put, and Yeah, I think I took out of an AMT NASCAR, 80s NASCAR. A lot of my roll cage, it kind of busted apart, but it's all in there. Whole kit's in there. Everything's in there. We'll have to get back on this one day, hopefully. In the meantime, I wanted to show that to you. This is such a cool kit. If you ever find, they go for such big money now. I'm grateful for the ones I have because there are a couple cars I do want to do. And there's a good example of how well that chassis fits into that body. It really is. It was a very well engineered kit for being engineered in the early 70s. Put that all back in there. Stay power. Now, so on YouTube, there's this wonderful for you NASCAR history buffs, a wonderful channel called the Scene Vault Podcast, which comes from the old Winston Cup / even before that, Grand National Scene magazine that was put out back in the day. If you're old NASCAR fans, you know what that is. A couple of the guys, veterans from that, put on a great podcast, and they interview everybody because they know everybody in NASCAR. And there is an excellent interview, 3-part interview with David Ift, who was a major part of the Bud Moore team back in the day, and he worked on this car. There's another video that I saw recently was, of course, Stapleton 42. For you guys who are NASCAR buffs, know that channel. And it's a young couple who are really into the history of NASCAR, and they're in the right part of the country, and they're getting really well known by everybody, and they're getting in and getting interviews and getting shop tours and tours of things. I mean, if you are a NASCAR fan, they did a ride around tour of where all the Bud Moore shops were with one of Bud's close friends, family friend. It's an excellent video. And you even see where Bud lived. It's all around Spartanburg. Speaking of Spartanburg, and we got our buddy who lives in Spartanburg, old Hobby Dude 007. Gonna give him a shout out. I know he's watching this because it's about NASCAR.
Wait, what?
He makes sure I do everything right. So, a funny thing was said in both those videos when they talked about this Stay Power car, and I just got to bring this up. They talk about, there was this, we were sponsored by Stay Power. It was some kind of fuel additive or something. They didn't know much about it.
Bobby Isaac drove when Harry Hyde and them were in dispute with NASCAR, and Isaac left the K&K Dodge. He drove it that year with a sponsor on it, State Power. I never seen a can of State Power or anything. I don't know what it was, but
well, if anybody knows those people and can let them know to watch this video, there's your can of Stay Power. I laughed both times. I found this at a swap meet back in the 90s. And there was 4 of them. I wish I bought all 4. I don't know why I didn't. They weren't very expensive. But I bought one. I bought this to the day that I ever finished my Stay Power car. I would display this with it. But there is a can of Stay Power. If any of you ever wondered what this Stay Power stuff was, and it's pretty much only known and remembered, because of the 1 year they were on Bud Moore's car, and you have to be a crazy history buff of NASCAR, like me and you, I bet, if you're watching this. And we're still watching, I should say. And it doesn't say anything about the company. Well, it does say keep away from children. Glad they're responsible. Stay Power in San Rafael, California. Stay Power Industries. Hey, if anybody knows about this company, Stay Power, tell me about it in the description below. My dad worked there. My uncle worked there. My grandfather owned the frickin' thing. Whatever. Be interesting to hear the story of Stay Power. But it was very funny in 2 videos that I found that the car was talked about by people who actually worked on it. Both said they never saw a can of Stay Power, which means they may have sponsored the car, but you never saw Bud Moore sticking this junk in into gas tank. And I guess they wanted to be a competitor to STP, but you had to really get up early in the day to compete against STP, the King, and Ralph Savino. So they didn't have a chance. But that's pretty cool. I thought I'd show that. Well, I tell you what, man, this whole thing has gone absolutely nuts and off the rails. There it is, the first one I got. I got 4 of them. And look at that price. Yeah, right. Not today, friends. So, you have this kit, or you ever built this kit? Let me know down in the description. You always wanted this kit. No, these aren't for sale. Don't ask. I got all 4 of them for a reason. I bought them back when they were all about that price. You know, I don't really, man, JoHans today, they are expensive, and I don't buy them. I haven't bought a JoHan in decades because of it. I find it very funny that they are so revered, and you have such fanfare for them, and people want them, and they command such big money. And I think it's well deserved, because I don't think they deserved the hate that they got in the 80s. And believe me, I was working at model shops back then. We had a bunch of them on the shelf. There was the JoHan section, and I pretty much was the one that was buying them. Nobody wanted JoHan kits. Now, geez, if I could find a ramrod. Oh, I've passed up a couple of them with pretty decent deals. I love that's a JoHan kit I want to get to build. But holy cow, I'm not going to pay like a couple $100 for it. But we're not going to see these JoHan kits. It's just not going to happen. There might be a couple of them that might surface if, you know, some miracle happens. But there were a lot of crazy things that happened with JoHan. It's crazy how it's been gone for so long. Technically kind of alive. There is somebody who owns it. There's things going on today. Don't know. There's some rumblings, but it made it quite an impact on the hobby, and it's crazy how people know what JoHan kits are today, and they've been gone for 30 years off the shelves. So that says something for them, and this showed you they could make a heck of a kit. This one was pretty amazing. All right, all. Thanks a bunch for watching. I'm glad you made it this far. Kind of a long one. I don't know, my mind started going crazy, and I'm thinking all this cool stuff I want to show you. I haven't done a video in a while, you can tell. My voice is coming back, a little rough. I'm glad to be getting something back to you. We got more great videos lined up, some really cool things going on. Got some cool stuff to show you. We got some cool podcasts coming up. Got some cool people we'll be talking to. Lots of cool subjects to talk about that have to do with model cars and model car building. And why is it? Why? Can you answer me? Why is it that we do this? Oh, that's easy. I can answer it. Don't worry. I got this. 'Cause they're fun, right? Here's the producers.